and then he's off to a nice start. Why does it have to be all or nothing all the time?
Like, what am I doing? I'm doing it for the show. Field of 68 till I die. This is the Field of 68 After Dark show, the only place that you need to be for college hoops every single night.
On this Wednesday, January 18th, 2023, it has been another night that reminds us in college basketball, expect the unexpected. Welcome to Field of 68 After Dark on Sirius XM. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We're taking your questions in the chat. I'm John Fanta. We've got the coach's perspective. We've got Chris Mack with us tonight. We've got the Tar Heel great John Henson with us tonight to give us the player's perspective. Fellas, what a night in college basketball. And Mack, Field of 68 till you die, right?
Sure. I'm with it.
Get it tatted on me. I'm gonna tell Jeff I'm gonna get it tatted on me, man.
Fellas, crazy night in college basketball, an insane night in the Big East. That's where we begin. Seton Hall was down 17 to Connecticut. They're down 14 at the half. The Pirates rally from 17 down behind Casey and Defo and Kadari Richmond to shock UConn 67 to 66. The Huskies have all of a sudden lost 5 of their last 6 games. Seton Hall's won 4 in a row and has just gotten into the bubble conversation. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Xavier's 11-game winning streak is over. The DePaul Blue Demons at Wintrust Arena stunned Xavier 73 to 72. We'll get to that, but we begin in Newark. I was just over there a couple of hours ago, just got back home. Guys, this was a straight crazy game, wild finish, unbelievable atmosphere, and Casey and Defo, who was a legend last March Madness. When you're talking about the players of March, he might have been the top face because he just kept willing St. Peter's. He willed Seton Hall tonight, and he willed Shaheen Holloway's Pirates. Coach Mack, your reaction to an insane classic in Newark?
Just a tale of two halves, John. I mean, the first half, I thought UConn size, with Klingon and Sonogo, those two guys were just monsters. And in the second half, nobody could make anything around the basket. I felt like the noose was getting a little tighter and tighter on those layups around the rim. It's not as though Seton Hall's got, guys like John in there blocking shots, and they couldn't get anything to convert. And then, I thought, to have Odakali shoot the last shot, I think you'd want that if you're UConn. He's not a three-point shooter. He's certainly more of a driver. And I always tell my teams, that first shot doesn't beat you, but second shots will. And, the fact is he comes down with the offensive rebound, goes up, gets the and one, and curtains for UConn. And just, again, I think tale of two halves.
Definitely tell of two halves. Being a big guy, the big guys kind of frustrated me because they were going through them in the first half. They were playing really well. They got into foul trouble, and that just led to a little bit of tentativeness. And on the defensive end, he was flipping them in and out, which, shooting is a rhythm thing. Jump hooks, post moves are also a rhythm thing. So Sonogo got out of rhythm. Klingon was kind of getting out. It was like he was doing hockey subs with him, and I think that messed up the whole rhythm of the UConn offense. And down the stretch, Seton Hall sped him up a little bit, started rushing a little bit, and hey, I was going to say when they were up 20, I like how Seton Hall plays. I like how Shaheen Holloway has that team. You can tell they're going to be – he's putting their imprint on them. And tonight, what he implemented on that team, I mean, they outscored him by 15 in the second half. So Seton Hall's definitely back on the bubble conversation, and they look good tonight.
Yeah. Well, I really thought that at one point, they had made a 2-point shot, and I'm talking about UConn. They go to the free throw line, and they get the offensive rebound and kick it out for a 3, and to put them up 8. And I thought at that point, because teams are always going to make a run in their own building,
right?
I thought UConn at that point was going to sort of seize momentum, and they didn't. And then at the end, I really thought that the foul on Dawes was going to cost them. It didn't. As soon as they took the lead, it was like, I don't even know what happened. It was somewhere near half court. I thought a timeout was called. John,
yes.
You were there. And next thing you know, they're putting UConn at the line, and they got away with one right there.
They did. It was one of
And
those momentum fouls, guys, where you have something crazy happen and then you can't keep your composure.
Yep.
That foul gets called. I'll tell you what, here's my takeaway on this game. First, for Seton Hall, it says all you need to know about Shaheen Holloway, that he's taken a team that does not have the most talent. They don't have a real bucket getter. And they have steadily gotten better and better. The fact that he can pull toughness out of guys that weren't even his recruits is telling of the kind of coach he is. Because your first year at a job can have its roller coaster moments. You're trying to transition. As good of a job as Kevin Willard did at Seton Hall, there's still a transition period. And Holloway was having trouble getting through to some of the guys he inherited. But he didn't quit on them. And tonight, he got his reward because they didn't quit on the game. As for UConn, time and time again in this game, when they had prime opportunities to put the game away, Jordan Hawkins misses a point-blank three. Tristan Newton misses a point-blank three. Alex Caravan is wide open. Can't hit it. UConn has lost a killer instinct. They've lost the dagger instinct. And I will share this. I'm not even sure if they properly gained one because Connecticut entered tonight winning 9 games this season by 20 points or more. 9 of their 15 wins. So they've gotten up like they did tonight on Seton Hall, and teams just quit. They didn't have it in them to fight back. It just didn't have it. But you get in conference play, and Chris, you were in the Big East. And somebody said this to me after the game. They said, in the Big East, you have to take the game. You have to seize the game. If you leave a game in the balance, you'll get it taken from you. And that's what happened tonight to Connecticut.
It's really hard to knock somebody out on their home floor. I mean, really knock them out to the point where they quit playing. And, to your point, John, about, Seton Hall and Shaheen Holloway. I mean, I've known Shaheen for years. He's got such a magnetic personality. I think he tells it to his kids, in the realest possible way. When he's frustrated, when he's hyped for them, he does a tremendous job. But, I just feel like the way that game, when you go on the road in conference and the home team gets down so much, and then all of a sudden it's like an avalanche in the second half, you feel like as a visiting team, everything's going against you. Every loose ball is going to hit the wrong person's knee and foot and go to the other team, go to the home team. And, they just couldn't get out of their own way down the stretch, and, give Seton Hall a lot of credit. They made the plays, but that environment, even if you only have 3,000-4,000 fans, when a deficit is made up that much, it's just a lot of momentum.
It's the 2 plays that stood out to me too was the Sonogo point blank miss. That was a big miss for in the stretch of the game that it was. And then the Klingon, when he rushed the layup and he could have just took his time. Those were 2 like deflating plays. And they're combined tonight, I think 9 for 22. That doesn't look as bad on paper, but they were point blank shots that these guys were missing. They were trying to feed Sonogo, and it was just a tough game for them. And you wonder, the Huskies had the target on their back, and now all of a sudden teams are like, oh, UConn's coming to town. Let me get a little extra rest. Hey, let's practice a little harder. We got the big boys coming in. So they've got to learn how to handle that prosperity. There's a few teams in the country that are going to have to learn how to handle prosperity because, a TCU, a team that, got a little love, and now they're kind of falling down a little bit. So they're going to have to figure it out. Now, lost 5 of 6. I wouldn't be willing to bet next game they're going to come out fiery and ready to go.
Yeah, they're going to need to. Their Big East season is, it's right here. They got to be careful that they don't lose it. And that was a hell of an effort by Seton Hall.
Yeah, it really was. A thought on UConn here, big picture, because they've lost 5 of 6. And if you're looking at Connecticut and how they're playing, where do you go from here?
Hey, you stay on that horse because the way college basketball is going this year, you just got to be in the mix. You just got to be in the mix. And I think UConn's going to be in the mix towards the end. They're going to have a chance to right there. You know, they're 4-5. They're not out of it by any means. So they just got to stay in the mix and stay ready and be ready to play and win some games. And I think that's going to happen. This is a bad stretch. There's been a few teams in the country that have gone through some bad stretches. So you just got to keep playing. I personally think Sanogo in the post needs to slow down, or not slow down, go a little faster, and Klingon needs to slow down. They got to do the opposite. I just felt like today Sanogo was a little too methodical. He still made a quick, hard move, and then Klingon, I felt like he was down there rushing. So if they're going to be going through those guys, they've got to be a little more efficient, especially with today's game with all the three-pointers, and the pace.
We'll get to more on them in a little bit, but let's get to our guests tonight. We got reaction outside Seton Hall's locker room after a shocking win over 15th-ranked Connecticut. Here's Casey and Defo and Shaheen Holloway. Seton Hall, UConn 66. We are joined by the hero, Casey and Defo. Another chapter of your Jersey legend. Just take us through the final sequence to win it for the Pirates.
Well, we decided we wanted to execute the offense. Coach drew up a great play, and just down the line, I felt like I was offensive rebounding good this game. Great UConn team. Just hustling and desire. Just ball fell in my hands, and going back up, and it was a great atmosphere, great crowd today, and we're happy we got the win. You were down 17 at one point. Why didn't this team quit? We have no quit in this team, just always fighting, always keeping our heads up, and just making sure that we all are locked in on defense. And when you get stops on defense, anything can happen, and defense leads to offense, and that's what we did today. 18 points for Kadari Richmond with 10 rebounds. What did his presence mean in the comeback effort? That's what he does. It's no surprise. He's a great player, great leader for us. He can do it all on the court, and we go as he goes. So, just a great game for him, something that, he's been doing, and I'm just happy for him. Casey, when you're in a Big East battle like this, UConn's a top 15 team, and it looks like that they're on a one-way ticket to a win tonight. What was it that kept you guys believing in yourselves? Well, we didn't come into the game thinking that they're going to win. We go into every game thinking that we got the upper hand and we're going to win and we're going to execute and play defense. And, that's what we did today. We just listened to Coach and what he was telling us and preaching to us. And at halftime, we were down, and Coach talked to us and made sure that we knew what we had to do to go back out there. And that's what we did, and I'm happy we got the win. You can give us a better perspective than anyone on this. How does Shaheen Holloway put it together with a team? Just passion. You just want guys to play hard and give all that you got out there. 110% at all times that you're out there on the floor. So that's just what we're all doing. We got guys buying in, and the team is clicking. So I'm just happy for that. Joined by Shaheen Holloway after Seton Hall's 67-66 win over UConn. Shaheen, what does it say about this team that they come back from 17 down?
You know what, to tell you the truth, I just like the fightness. I just want my team to fight. I think if we fight and just defend, we give ourselves a chance to win. The first half we didn't. UConn ran it. It was a clinic. Second half we made some adjustments, came out, guys fought, chip by chip by chip, and then as you know, we right there.
Casey and Defo's had many great moments. I know you're not surprised. What did you see in that game-winning sequence?
I forget the sequence. The whole second half. I got on him. Early. Took him out. I got on him. He came out in the second half. He had a mentality that he always have, and we followed him. He set the tone. He set the tone for us, and I keep telling him, when you play like that, it's contagious. The way he played, everybody picked it up in the second half, and that's why we won the game.
Where do you put his toughness?
That's why he's here. That's why I brought him here with me. He has something that most guys don't have, right? When you say a skill, to me that's a skill, being tough.
18 and 10 for Kadari Richmond. He's another guy that you've tried to pull more and more out of. How integral was he in this effort?
You know what? He's starting to get it. I tell him all the time, you got to play like that all the time, and it starts in practice, and then you enter the game. Like the way you prepare is the way you play. I thought, he played the last two games. I thought he defended way better. He rebounded, and then he's Kadari. He's gonna make some plays.
You've been part of a lot of big-time moments and a lot of big-time atmospheres in this building with the blue and white. Where did that finish in the crowd, all of that rank for you, and how special was it?
Well, welcome back to the students. I miss those guys. Those guys was unbelievable tonight. Not just the students, the whole crowd was, but the students just bring a different element, right? They're young, they get after it. This crowd was unbelievable. And I think they will us to the win. So I'm looking forward to Saturday. Hopefully another big crowd come out. We get ready, and we get ready.
Great stuff. Great stuff from the Pirates, and Seton Hall will welcome in a Marquette team that just beat Providence and goes to 15-5, a tough Marquette team. Chris Mack, a closing thought from you on this game.
You know, obviously the guys for Seton Hall are going to be feeling really good about themselves. If I'm Shaheen Holloway, John, I think the first thing I do is I show them something that happened at the end of the game that probably everybody feels is inconsequential. And Defo goes to the free throw line. They're up 1. There's 1.9 seconds. Announcers are talking about, hey, he should miss it on purpose because UConn doesn't have any timeouts, which is probably a good strategy. He misses it. I don't know if he missed it on purpose, tried to make it, whatever. But there was a Seton Hall teammate of his that was going over the back of the UConn player. And obviously your kids are in a great mood and tell them that, hey, that could have been soured for in that situation ever again before. You can't foul 90 feet from the basket going after the offensive rebound. That could have easily been called over the back. And how had you felt if you were Seton Hall watching UConn go to the other end and make 2 to win the game? That easily could have happened. So, again, you can always learn even when you win. A lot of times teams are in a great mood when you have that film session the next day.
After a 1-4 start, Seton Hall has won 4 straight and is now 5-4 in the Big East and is in the NCAA tournament conversation. A shocking development out of New Jersey tonight. Coming up on the Field of 68 after dark, we'll go around the country. Rivalry showdown between Virginia and Virginia Tech. The guys will react to that. Plus some drama in Nebraska in the Big Ten. A very interesting result. And how DePaul shocked Xavier. All that and much more. This is the Field of 68 after dark on Sirius XM.
You're clear. Got a minute 40.
All right. We welcome in producer Trevor Valise. Trevor, you are on the chat. What are we getting tonight?
Hey, what's going on, guys? We're going to ride on our executive producer Dakin Hughes' coattails here. Lots of people asking, is Seton Hall a tournament team if the tournament started today?
Probably not today. They got their third quadrant 1 win. They don't have any quadrant 4 losses. But they're right around the picture. I think they'd probably be in like your first 8 out, somewhere in there, based on just where I'd have them. But I'll tell you what, they're playing like a tournament team now.
And the great thing about it is they're in a league that they're going to have a lot of opportunities down the stretch, as long as they, hold serve, especially at home like they did tonight. That'll put them in contention to get a bid.
Yeah, they're just on the outside looking in. This Seton Hall team, when I saw them earlier playing in the season, I was like, you know what? I like how they play. I like how they get after it. I like the energy on the sideline. So I think this was a confidence boosting win. Now it's about not having a letdown.
Tell you what, they won at Rutgers. That is now a huge, huge win for them because Rutgers has performed quite well. It's interesting, Mack. Did you ever, as a coach, and your answer might be nope, never did it. Like, did you ever look back at your non-con around this time of year just to see like, hey, they turned out to be better than I thought, or hey, they kind of went to crap?
No, you always. You're checking scores every single night. Every team that you played. Hell, John, you're looking at the teams that they played. You have guys on your staff that are obviously doing the deep dive and analytics and, trying to figure out, where you're at. But once you play a team, you're the biggest cheerleader they have the rest of the way, especially in the non-conference.
Henson, would you, like on a big ACC game night, would you then hop on the app or whatnot? Like when you guys were in a race, like, are you checking around? Were you basically an ACC fan then? Like if the game wasn't involving you, would you start watching other teams play in your room?
Yeah, you're definitely watching what other teams are doing as a player, but also as a player, you're kind of focused on yourself. You're focused on what you guys did, film, the next day.
1 minute.
I can't really say that I've never I can't really say when I was in college, I was like, all right, let me watch this Duke Clemson game. If it was on TV, you check it out. But for the most part, man. You just kind of like you said, like Chris said, just kind of checking around, box scores, seeing who's doing what. And when a big game comes on, you watch it. And that's kind of how, when I was in school, that's what we did.
The players never watched it. The coaches have to tell them who won the next day. Players never watched it.
It's a lot different. It's a lot different now, too.
30
you
seconds.
got streaming services. You got, you can watch 4 or 5 different games. Like, I had ESPN Big Tuesdays. I was playing on Big Monday, right? So it was tough.
You were on Super Tuesday.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So.
All right, we're coming back here.
15.
Any other questions, Trevor, quickly?
10 seconds.
Okay. All right, we'll turn
Here we
to
go. 5, 4, 3, 2. There we go.
It is the Field of 68 after dark on a wild Wednesday night in college basketball. A top 10 team has fallen tonight, folks. Final score, DePaul 73, number 8 Xavier 72. The Musketeers' 11-game winning streak ends, and it ends in improbable fashion in Chicago. Chris Mack is with us. John Henson's with us. I'm John Fancy, your host. Coach, give us your reaction here to DePaul finding a way over Xavier.
Well, I think that it's been something that's, I think, been on Coach Miller's mind, really, even throughout the winning streak. And that is, I think his team needs to get better defensively, and I think he knows that. And I think it's been frustrating. You watch, some of the scores of some of these great games that they've played, and I don't think he's used to giving up 83 and 84 points. Although the point total was down tonight for DePaul, Xavier was getting absolutely crushed off the dribble, especially in the first half. I think they tightened up their defense, but anytime you allow a team to stay in the game when you're a top 10 team yourself and you're on their home floor, now it's not a 40-minute game. It's a 7-minute game. It's a 6-minute game, and then you throw in the fact that Xavier's backcourt between Sully Boom and Colby Jones go 4 for 26. That's not going to win you any favors and win you any games on the road. I don't care who you're playing.
Classic letdown. You win 12 in a row. You beat some heavy hitters. You beat Seton Hall, St. John's, UConn, Villanova, Creighton, Marquette, all in a row. And these weren't blowouts. These were closer games, and they were high scoring games. So you're probably thinking, Sean Miller's probably like, these guys just think they can outscore everybody, and we're just going to, outscore everybody, which tonight they didn't. If they would have hit their average tonight, they beat them pretty easily. But some nights are not going to be easy. It's a weird Thursday, man. Like, going into DePaul and maybe not taking them as serious. And once things got rolling at home, like Chris said, teams are going to get confident. Those shots are going to start falling. And I don't know about, as a coach, Chris, but when you're playing with nothing to lose, that thing feels good.
But John, let me ask you this, John. When you played, and obviously Carolina is going to be a huge draw no matter where you go, but there were games where you're playing a team that's maybe won 2 conference games. They're getting 500, a night. So you're going to get your Carolina fans that travel, but Xavier's used to playing these games that are like high energy, 12,000 in the arena, like every possession matters. They walk out, they're at Wintrust Arena on a Thursday night at 8:00, and there's 750 fans, and you worry about that as a coach because you worry about the guys not getting their own bringing their own energy and being amped up. Lack of environment can really hurt you.
So that was a problem with us with Georgia Tech. I had rough nights at Georgia Tech because Georgia Tech was also a middle of the pack team. They didn't have a huge fan base as far as fans going. You're in Atlanta, which is a bigger city, even though Georgia Tech doesn't seem like it. And so we would have to bring our own energy, and we struggled there sometimes because it wasn't 20,000 people screaming in the student session going wild. So that was something that's a great point.
In Georgia Tech, they're used to that. They're used to not having fans.
Yep. And so we always struggled with Georgia Tech, even with Clemson. Clemson was rocking as well, but Clemson was not an easy place to play. And you could almost overlook it if you don't, kind of get your mind right. And I think that's what Xavier did, man. Chicago on a Thursday, it's a little chilly. DePaul's in the cellar. Hey, we're averaging 90 points a game, 12 in a row. This happens to professionals. So college kids, I'm not surprised.
And obviously, John, we got a great relationship with Coach Miller. Obviously I coached under him for a while. And I know that it's been bothering him that his team isn't better defensively. I mean, that is what his DNA is. And I think this will certainly get his guys' attention, because there are going to be nights, in the NCAA tournament when you might not be at your best on the offensive end, when your best offensive player or two get in foul trouble and you're without them the last 6 minutes of a half, or, down the stretch in a game. And so they got to tighten it up on the defensive end. And I don't think there's a better coach in the country to help get them there.
I love Sean Miller, man.
Yeah, we'll see how they can bounce back. And I think Sean Miller has done. Look, it's not like it seems as if some fans, some followers out there, like, forgot how good of a coach he is. I mean, he didn't lose his coaching skill. Things happened. Drama happened. That's for another day. And frankly, that day's over. Yeah. That's in the past. Okay. Like, he will get them to bounce back here. They have really, in terms of a get right spot, they host Georgetown this weekend. So, I mean,
very few teams, I don't care if they're a top 5 team or not, very few teams are going to go throughout the season without having a clunker. And, if it rights the ship, and I don't even act like the ship was going the wrong way or the ship was going down, they had won that many games in a row. It'll be a good lesson learned for them, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, when I played, I remember we started 0-2. ACC play, we were preseason #1 team in the country. We started 0-2. We didn't lose. I think we ended up winning like the last 15 out of 16 or something like that going into the tournament. So that was the best thing for us, honestly. We had to sit down. We had to listen to coach. Yeah. We had to buy back into what we had going on. And maybe this is one of those losses for Xavier to like, hey, look, you guys aren't that good. Like, hey, let's play a little defense, and you've been beat by DePaul. So this could be good for them. They've been playing well. 13 in a row, 12 in a row would have been hard. It's hard for any team to win that many games. So I think they'll be fine.
Well, let's keep it rolling here around the country, because there's a bunch of other games that came in. Arkansas and Missouri right now in the final 2 minutes. It's a 2-point game on SEC Network. Nice. For those of you who are flipping around. Wild game out at Mizzou. Couple of rapid reacts here. In the Big Ten, let's give this the 2 minutes here until we hit our next break, fellas. Final score, Nebraska 63, Ohio State 60. The Huskers, who have been much improved. They do win this game, and it's a night where they win a grinder. Sam Griesel was excellent with 15.7 rebounds. But by the same token, the Buckeyes all of a sudden are 10-8, and a team that frankly has a mix of youth with some experience, but the experience isn't a ton of experience. Any reaction off of Nebraska taking down the Buckeyes in the Big Ten?
I mean,
welcome to the Big Ten.
They got some young guys, as you said, John. They're relying on Sensabaugh and some other youngsters. And Nebraska's not an easy place to play. It's one of the best home court advantages in the Big Ten. They may not have the most talented team. They may not have a team with unbelievable tradition in the Big Ten, but it's a hard place to play. And, Ohio State now has lost, I think 5 in a row. As John said, welcome to the Big Ten, even though I think they already know the Big Ten.
Right.
They already know.
Yeah. It's the Big Ten it's baffling to me, honestly, because, shout out to Nebraska, equaling their win total from last year, 1 game below us in conference win. So I watched a little bit at the end of that game. Hoiberg's got them believing. Their body language is good, man. They look like they, have bought in and believe that they can be and are a good team. And, Nebraska's making noise. They're making ripples. And in his 4th year, I'm happy for him, man. I love Hoiberg. He's a good coach. I never played for him, but when I was in the NBA, I got a chance to observe him, man. So I'm happy that he's doing his thing down there. And Nebraska, once he sinks his teeth into them like he's starting to do, be on the lookout.
Big win for the Huskers. And I think you said it best, John. Welcome to the Big Ten. The Big Ten, the Big 12 is the best league in college basketball. Once again, nobody's going to disagree with that. The Big Ten, by virtue of having 14 teams, is the deepest league in college basketball. Guys, I mean, night to night right now in that league, Just throw the ball up. It's nuts how wild that conference is. All but one team, basically Minnesota, is the only team that's not sort of fighting for an NCAA tournament bid. That's a 14-team league in which 13 teams are relevant.
Crazy.
It's nuts.
Minnesota can beat at their place. Minnesota can beat you. You know, it's not like
they just beat Ohio State.
Yeah, you're not going to just walk in there and run over them. So it's a tough league.
Wild. We've got plenty more to come. Arkansas, Missouri is tied up at 69. We'll break down the finish of that one with an instant reaction. Missouri was down by 10. They were down by 10. Jordan Walsh fouled out, and that has impacted the end of this game. We'll get to that finish. We'll go around the ACC. We'll have more on the SEC. We'll hit the Big 12. We're just getting started on Field of 68 After Dark. Sirius XM.
You're clear. 3 minutes.
I mean, this sport is nuts. How can you not love this sport? I'll give you guys, in the last 4 days, I have seen Xavier Marquette, which was an amazing game Sunday, great offense, Purdue, Michigan State, and then tonight, UConn, Seton Hall.
And Mizzou could potentially take the lead right now. They're at the free throw line. It's crazy.
How about Dennis Gates? Man.
What do you got, John? I got 71 all with 43 seconds left.
I got 71 all with 59 left.
Yeah. Missouri's.
You missed the 1-1. That's crazy.
Any questions in the chat, Trevor?
Yep, we got a few. Will of the Woods asks, what is the ceiling for Kansas State? Is there a ceiling?
Anybody?
I mean, there's always a ceiling, but man, I love their backcourt. You know, that play that you know, Coach Tang ran out of at the end of the game, clear out the backside. Keontae Johnson takes a step like he's going to get open on the wing and, you know, does the old Shaq pirouette and they throw it up. I mean, like, you don't see a lot of guys his size, you know, catching oops down the stretch in the last second. They've got a really good team. He's set play heavy. They do some great, you know, action for Keontae Johnson to sort of get one-on-one isolation stuff at the elbow and on the block. They're a really good team. And most importantly, like John said before, they're believing.
The old Minnesota KG play, ride him up the lane, spin off for the lob. That was a great play. You know, that game, you know, Kansas lost. But, I mean, every hostile environment that Kansas has been into this year, they've either won or, like last night, they played well enough to win. They don't have a deep bench. So it was kind of a struggle for them towards the end when the guys fouled out. But
yeah,
Kansas State is going to be right there at the end. They've got a really good team. They've got that dynamic guard. I love watching them play, too. It's fun.
Any other questions?
Here's a good one from B. Wayne. Who is the best team in the state of North Carolina?
That's tough.
30 seconds.
It's tough. We're going to see.
NC State, man.
NC State might be there. I mean, talent-wise.
I said NC State plays Carolina this weekend. I think that's going to be, if NC State comes into Chapel Hill, I think the game's in Chapel Hill, and beats them, might be NC State, man, which, I mean, I hope Roy doesn't hear me talking about NC State like that, because, I mean, he'd probably call my phone and say, hey, listen, there'll be none of that.
4. Here we go.
It's the Field of 68 After Dark on this Wednesday night. We're halfway home on Sirius XM. We've got an eventful, I could promise you this, a dramatic 27 minutes to come. Arkansas and Missouri tied up at 71 in the final minute. Let's quickly update you on that game. Coach Mack, out of all three of us who are watching this game, you seem to be the one that's most ahead on your screen. Give us
It's been
an
a
update
pause
on
in
what
the
you're
action
seeing
for
here.
a long time here, but Missouri's bringing the ball up. There's 40 seconds left on the game clock, 25 on the shot clock, and trying to get the ball, as you can imagine, to Kobe Brown. So good little high-low action. Fouled. So we're going to the free throw line. Kobe's going to the free throw line.
Okay, can I ask a question here as we're in the final minute? Because I got to tell you, I need to get the coach and the player's perspective. What do you make of the late monitor reviews? And is there anything we can do about all of it?
I, for some reason, it takes a lot longer in college than the professional ranks.
Yeah.
So maybe we can streamline that a little more. It's definitely frustrating. I don't know if NCAA or whoever, can have like a command center like the NBA has, where literally they can make a phone call and we can kind of get rolling. But because I think they just, I don't know, Coach Mack, if you've played, I'm like, you coach, do they actually make that decision on screen in the arena,
Absolutely.
or are they calling out? Okay, so that's the issue. There's no one looking at it. So definitely more annoying than anything, and it stops the flow of the game, especially something like that just happened in the Missouri game.
And so often too. I mean, like if it takes you 4 or 5 minutes to review it, then obviously you need to be going with your initial call because it's not conclusive enough. When a play happens and the referee's able to go over to the sideline, look at it once or twice, and say, you know what, that is Providence ball. That's when I think the reasoning for the rule came into effect. But to sit there and hash it out and rewind it 58 times to figure out, half the time it's not in HD when they blow up the fingers to see who went
Right.
out on, you can't change it. And they're talking about did the rotation on the ball change and all that stuff. But I agree, players are just sort of sitting on the side. And, a lot of times teams get penalized or rewarded with timeout situations they don't have. Coaches over there drawing up plays because they're trying to figure out who the ball went off on.
Guys, this would be a demoralizing loss for Arkansas. They were up by 10 in this game with 6 minutes to go. I mean, this would be a gut punch to them because as big as it could be, they had been on a slide here recently, is as tough as taking a loss could be here. They were in control of the game.
I mean, to think they might be 1-5, after tonight in the SEC, obviously, all credit's going to Missouri because Dennis Gates has done an amazing job this year with his team. But it's tough when you're up 10-12 on the road. You're never safe in someone else's building, though. That's for sure.
Hey, speaking of, go ahead, John.
Draft workout. Nick Smith's about to start them draft workouts. Arkansas better figure it out.
Yep.
Well, speaking of 0-5, 1-5, West Virginia tonight welcomes in TCU. And TCU, a top 20 team, a real good team, tough team. And you're sitting there thinking, well, yes, the game's in Morgantown, always tough to play, but does West Virginia have what it takes? West Virginia wins this game. They win this game in pretty commanding fashion, 74-65. The Mountaineers were 0-5 in the Big 12. They were 0-5 in the Big 12. I would venture to say, Chris Mack, that's the best 0-5 team in a power conference that you will ever see. They beat TCU by 9.
Absolutely. I mean, and you said it in the very beginning, the Big 12 is the best college basketball league in the country. And, for West Virginia to be 0-5 and to be rewarded with the gimme game of TCU. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, it's just a cutthroat, hard league to win in, especially on the road. TCU comes in and, West Virginia jumped on them, and then they stormed all the way back, and give West Virginia credit for being able to sort of hold off the fight that TCU displayed. But man, I don't know who West Virginia has on their schedule next, but a tough league.
They got Texas. When you look at their schedule at Kansas State, they start off. Then they got to play against Baylor. At Oklahoma, they lost. At Oklahoma State, which is tough. I mean,
Yep.
Oklahoma was probably their first game where they're like, hey, look, we need to go ahead and get a win. So tonight, TCU, they got Texas coming up at Texas Tech, which is tough. Like, whew.
Yeah. And John, you
so-
know this because you played in the NBA for such a long time. I didn't know this I didn't think about it until my strength coach at Louisville came from West Virginia. He started talking about the travel that they have in the Big 12, which is way different than any of the other teams that are in that league. You're talking about they're coming back from Texas Tech. That's like a 3 hour and 45-minute plane ride. Those guys are getting back at 5:30, 6 in the morning. And the fatigue and the travel and the turnaround time that West Virginia has to experience versus those other teams is night and day.
It's night and day. And as a professional, we can fly home, go to our nice comfy houses, wake up in the morning, no class, no other obligations. We're professionals. So when you got to fly from Kansas or Oklahoma all the way to West Virginia, you're also losing time because you're the hour or so ahead.
Yep.
It's definitely something to think about. And that's going to be interesting with UCLA kind of moving on. What I wonder if they're like how they're going to do that because you're switching time zones.
Crazy.
Like, it's going to be interesting. But like I said, we've been waiting on West Virginia to show us something at home, and they did tonight. And this could be kind of a win to get them rolling. But they got they got Auburn coming up. Then they play at TCU again. Iowa State. I mean, the Big 12 it's a gauntlet, man. Whoever survives the Big 12 probably going to end up being a Final Four team, man.
Hey,
Whoever
Fanta,
survives that
let me ask John this question, Fanta. There's 2.8 seconds left. Missouri's up 3.
Yep.
They're going to get the ball out full court. John, are you a believer in more of the NBA where you can advance the ball for college? Because there's been a lot of talk about like people wanting to advance the ball in college basketball like they do in the NBA. Or are you more of a traditionalist and a fan of like having to take it and go baseline to baseline?
I love the advance. I think it's better for the game. And it gives a team a chance to win the game. And I like that. I like the advance rule. I think they should implement that because it's in the women's game, right?
It
They
is.
have it in the women's game. So, yeah, I like that rule because team down 2 or 3 seconds left, having to take it from the baseline coach, as you know, it's almost impossible.
Shooting
but when you get at the half court, at the half court line, it's a whole nother ball game. And in an effort to improve the game for the fan, I think it's got to be moved up for sure.
You're in favor of advancing it.
Oh, I love last second turnaround threes.
Yeah, it helps. Mack, do you think so too?
I'm more of a traditionalist, man, and it's probably because that's what I'm used to. I wasn't fortunate enough to play in the NBA, so I never really experienced what it's like to advance the ball. But the traditionalist in me, I think I like taking it baseline. Although if I'm ever down 2 or 3 and we only have like 0.8 seconds left, I might want to change my mind at that point.
Right, exactly.
Pros and cons. If you're down, 3, hey, it's a great move. But if you're down, if you're up 2 with 1.1 second left, you love that baseline.
That's exactly right.
Hell yeah. For Missouri, what a win for them. I mean, the fact that Arkansas was up by 10 with about 6 minutes to go. You talked about Dennis Gates. I mean, for Missouri basketball.
I mean, look at that. Look at the arena. I mean, it's just packed with gold and black. I haven't seen it like that in a long time.
It's a final 79-76. The Missouri Tigers go to 15-4 on the season. And Dennis Gates has pieces together with high-level transfers. Kobe Brown tonight, the senior, goes for 17 points. Now, he stayed true to the program. He did not transfer out. He stuck by Mizzou, and he's getting his reward. But, their bench, they've got real depth. I mean, they get 2 guys off the bench that score in double figures in this game. And what a win for Missouri to beat Arkansas and come back from 10 down. And it just goes to show you guys, like, I'll say this. Cleveland State is not an easy job, okay? That's a real
tough town, man. Tough town.
Tough town. Tough.
Not a lot of winners coming from there, Fanta.
Enough. That's a warning right there. That's a warning to the side.
I lived in Cleveland 2 years now. I had Milwaukee for 7, so I was a little messed up, but I like Cleveland.
Good. I like to hear that. Henson, how has Dennis Gates put this together, and what are you seeing from Missouri?
It's a good. I mean, he's just a good coach, man. He's got them rolling. They're playing a style of basketball that is fun. They win games. I personally looked at the score earlier and thought, okay, Arkansas is going to take care of business. To see them kind of walk them down. Missouri's going to be one of those teams that maybe like a 5-6 seed that like I always say, the number one when I was the number 1 seed, the toughest game was at an 8-9 game in the second round, and because you're playing a team that has the talent or has the wins, but they didn't were inconsistent. And I think Missouri's gonna be one of those teams when it's all said and done. I don't think you want to see them come tournament time. You're not gonna want to overlook them either. So hopefully everybody's watching this team, coach. Hopefully
the
Watch it.
portal's really helped Dennis. He's brought in
Yes,
some really
yes.
good players quickly, and you've seen it. Turnarounds can happen, a lot quicker than maybe they used to. I think, as John said, he plays a fun style. They spread the floor. They didn't shoot it particularly well tonight, but they have guys that try to take you off the dribble, get in the lane, and spray it. They play with a lot of spacing on the offensive end of the floor. I think he carried over a lot of the pressure type defense that he brought with him from Florida State. They turned Arkansas over 21 times tonight.
Huge.
And then I think Kobe Brown, who, we tried to recruit at Louisville, is a high IQ, crafty, strong, really skilled, just a weird matchup for almost everybody he's facing. If you put a smaller guy on you, boom, he's near the basket, he's putting his butt on you, he's scoring. If you put a bigger guy on him, he's either going to shoot the ball because the guy's so far off of him, or use that space against him and drive it and make plays. He's got a really good team right now. And most importantly, they're believing in one another and believing in him.
Well, you get DeAndre Golston, who comes over from Milwaukee, a Horizon League transfer. And that's the other thing, is Dennis Gates really identified guys that he saw were dudes in his conference too, and is able to bring them into a power conference situation. And I think it does go to show you, with these first-year head coaches, you combine the ability to get that older dude with a style that maybe other coaches in your league aren't as familiar with. And it's allowed them to accelerate what comes off at first as some sort of rebuild.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a guy that was at a mid-major or a mid-major conference, and he's clearly good enough to play at a high level. And he enters the portal and transfers over to a school like a Missouri or somewhere. They're also playing with a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be thankful. They're going to play hard because they were overlooked. So I think that is something that's not mentioned. These guys that are coming from these smaller schools, I'm sure coach doesn't have to tell them to run hard or play hard, because they're coming from somewhere where, they probably didn't have the best resources or something like that. And so I think that helps a lot of teams as well.
One of the best kids I ever coached, John, you'll be familiar with him, 2 years ago, Carleek Jones, at Louisville. He transferred from Radford and, was a terrific player in the Big South. He comes to Louisville, zero fanfare, and is an absolute killer, killer for us. Wins games at the buzzer, single-handedly, couldn't be guarded in some games. And, I think a lot of guys get overlooked. And you talk about being appreciative. I think his eyes lit up like the size of saucers when he saw how much gear he was getting on day one. He told me he only got 2 T-shirts when he was at Radford. And as you know, when you play at a high major, you're getting a lot of gear. And man, he was appreciative, and he earned all of that stuff.
Sure.
Big time win for Mizzou. They are right in the thick of things in the SEC, and pulling away from Arkansas there, finding a way at the end to go from down 10 to winning that game. It's just another night in the Southeastern Conference. And you look up at the standings now, and it is absolutely crazy. It is absolutely crazy, guys, that to think that here we are with Arkansas, and they are 1-5 and have lost 4 in a row in the SEC. That was a top 10 team. Obviously, Trayvon Brazil's injury has affected them, but man, on the other side for Mizzou, 3-3, evened up with Kentucky and Florida, the 3-3 teams in the SEC. Georgia's still at 3-2. Auburn, Tennessee at 5-1. Alabama, they're a step above from everybody. But hey, don't forget about Texas A&M. We'll get to them. Texas A&M is 5-0 in the SEC. That is straight crazy. We'll talk about that and more. We got a quick timeout here, and then we'll wrap things up on Field of 68 After Dark, Sirius XM.
You're clear. You got a minute 30 here.
All right, Trevor, questions?
We got some Big Ten chatter popping off in the chat. A lot of people asking who is legit in the Big Ten other than Purdue and Rutgers.
Well, I think Illinois can be legit. I mean, I think on their best day, Terrence Shannon, Matthew Meyer, Dane Danger's been dangerous for them. I think Illinois is legit, and I think Michigan State's legit. They're a legit team. Come on.
A couple of those teams, Michigan State, Michigan, they've dealt with injuries. They're certainly legit. Now I don't know what he means by the word legit. If he means winning a national championship, but those teams are all NCAA tournament teams for sure.
All right, we've got someone saying Fanta. Who's the biggest sleeper in the entire country? Yuli wants to know.
Wow, in the entire country?
Yeah, put you on the spot, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting question. Who's the biggest sleeper in the entire
30
country?
seconds.
God, I'll say I think there's a couple. I think Penn State gets slept on. I really like Jalen Pickett, and I think that I still believe in the Nittany Lions. I think they're going to find a way to make the NCAA tournament. So they're a sleeper team in my book.
10 seconds.
And then
Marquette.
Maybe Marquette a little bit.
5,
UVA.
4,
UVA, let's talk about
3,
it.
2.
All right, welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. John Fanta, Chris Mack, John Henson with you. Let's move around the country a little bit more and go to the ACC. Virginia 78, Virginia Tech 68. Chris Mack, the Cavaliers are in the top 10 of the country. They're 14-3. And yet I feel like when we're always talking about the best teams in the nation, like for a team that's ranked 10th, they don't always come up. What do you see in this team, and why might people be snoozing too much on Tony Bennett's Cavaliers?
Well, I think if you're being honest, I think a big part of the reason people sleep on them is they're not necessarily the most exciting team in the world. You know, they do it very, very systematically. They're very blue collar in terms of their approach year by year. Names change, but the style remains the same. Tony Bennett does an unbelievable job. You know, tonight they beat Virginia Tech by, I think, 10 points. Virginia Tech goes 12 of 27 from three. You know, they score 68 points, which, again, isn't a lot in a college basketball game, but it is against Virginia at Virginia, and they still couldn't win. And the thing is, Virginia, I think this year, more than really over the last 3 or 4 years since their national championship, has an offense and has offensive players, you know, led by a fifth-year senior in Kihei Clark, who really runs the show. But whether it's Beekman, you know, whether it's the transfer from Indiana, Armand
Franklin,
Franklin,
Gardner.
Yeah,
Franklin's shooting it well,
they got
too.
some guys that can score it, and so and you know they're going to defend. I think Virginia's going to be there right to the end.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the game full today. Virginia Tech tried to make it a game, and every time Virginia answered, whether it was a timely three, a timely play, a defensive play. When they beat North Carolina, we kind of looked at their schedule like, you know, maybe at Wake Forest is going to be tough. Wake Forest is a tough team down there, but, you know, they could easily run through this schedule, man, and only lose 1 or 2 more games, man. I mean, that's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing because ACC isn't that strong. So for them to, you know, secure a number 1 seed or a top seed, they're going to have to probably maybe drop 1 or 2 more games, if they want to kind of be right up top. So,
and their defense is going to travel with them no matter where they go. Wherever they go on the road, they're going to be able to make sure the other team doesn't get a great shot every time down the floor. And tonight was evidence of that.
Yeah, Virginia, 21st in adjusted offensive efficiency, 23rd in adjusted defensive efficiency, according to KenPom. They're 10th in the AP poll. They're 10th in KenPom. Here's the deal. For Virginia's offense to be more efficient than their defense at this point says a lot about this particular team. We often talk about who they are from a toughness standpoint, getting stops, but you just said it, Mac. They really do have some depth. They've got some options there. And I'm not saying depth like 8 or 9 deep.
Right.
Like we sometimes say that and people are like, well, they don't go 8 or 9 deep. No. You got it. Do you have 5 guys on the floor who could score the ball?
You know, in Tony's teams, they don't have to play a lot of guys. You know, this isn't the Carolina Tar Heels where they're scoring 80 or 90 points and there's a ton of possessions. You know, that's the thing that squeezes the life out of opposing teams when you play Virginia. You try to push the ball, you take a quick shot, they rebound it, they take a sigh of relief, they walk that thing up, and it's just like a football game. You know, they just possession you to death.
I hated playing Wisconsin and I hated playing Virginia.
Yep.
And to this day,
I used to tell my guys, John, all the time. I used to tell them, listen, you know, don't count your points. If you have 2 points at halftime and the score 17-15 with 3 minutes left in the first half, you can't worry. It's going to be that way. but you can prepare and you can talk about it. It's another thing to actually live it and be in it.
Yep.
Let's turn to a ranked versus ranked game tonight. Top 25 showdown. It was the only ranked versus ranked game in the sport. So we're capping things off with a bang on Sirius XM. John Fanta, Chris Mack, John Henson with you. Marquette beats Providence 83-75. Golden Eagles bounce back from a hard-fought game at Xavier in which they were right there, but just could not finish it. So for Marquette, they're 7-2 in the Big East. They're 15-5 overall. They get their revenge on Providence. John Henson, thoughts on the Golden Eagles both win tonight and why you think this team could be dangerous?
You know, I've been kind of watching Marquette play these last few weeks, and I love what they're doing. They're solid. And I think in this year in college basketball, the solid team is going to be the most successful team. They're going to play you hard every night. They're a consistent brand of basketball, and they're going to get wins. And if you're consistent at this point in the season, that's why they're 7-2, 15-5. They handle Providence. The score indicates it was kind of close. They hemmed them the whole game. I don't think Providence really had a chance, to be honest. And so down, wire to wire, down the stretch, kind of snuffing them a little bit. That's as impressive a win as I've seen, these last few weeks from them.
Marquette can really score. Even in their loss to Xavier, they're putting up 80 points, and just watching them play, their offense moves so quickly. And Tyler Kolek can really, really distribute, really knows how to play, gets guys involved. They're big at the rim at times with some of their forwards. Marquette's a really good basketball team. It wasn't a surprise that they won tonight against Providence.
Tyler Kolek and Cam Jones combined for 40 points in the game. You said it on Kolek. I would argue that he's the best pure point guard in the Big East Conference, and the stats would really back it up. I mean, he has had a ridiculous season, folks. For those who do not know about Tyler Kolek, get this. On the season, he has a total of 157 assists in 20 games to just 47 turnovers.
And they're not walking the ball up.
They are not. And now all of a sudden that Marquette at Seton Hall matchup it's a little intriguing now, right?
Yeah, Saturday afternoon in Newark is now going to be an interesting game. That is for sure.
Hall, trying to be an NCAA tournament team. There's a hell of an opportunity right there at home for you.
Well said, Mack.
Right.
Well said. Hey, another ranked team that rolled tonight, Auburn rolled. They went to LSU. They win by 18 points, wanted to get that score in 67-49. The Tigers, they take it. And for Auburn, 15-3 on the year. They've kind of gotten some disrespect because people thought they didn't really play many people in the non-conference. But man, Wendell Green goes for 14 points tonight. They get a good performance as well from Jalen Williams, who goes for 14-7. The Tigers are 15-3. That wraps us up on Sirius XM. We've got our After Dark Afters coming. But for Chris Mack and John Henson, special thanks to Shaheen Holloway, Casey, and Defel for joining us. I'm John Fanta saying so long. We'll see you and talk to you on Sirius XM tomorrow night at 11 Eastern Time.
And you're clear. Nice job.
Thank you, my friend. All right, it's time for Afters.
I got my glass of wine.
What's up, guys? We got some things moving on the fly here. It looks like our esteemed leader, Rob, is going to have an interview with a Missouri player in a minute. So he's going to be joining, but he's doing the interview one-on-one. So apologies to YouTube as we produce behind the scenes here. I'm going to need everybody to turn off their video and audio when he joins, so he will have the full stage to interview a Missouri player, and then we'll get to some questions. But he's not here yet, so we will go to the chat and see if there's any other questions.
Wow, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly. Mac, like it's about to be midnight and they make us turn our video off as we're wrapping the show.
Rob said, I want this.
Quickly before
be able to move up the list.
Before he joins, quickly here, Alex wants to know, Kansas State or Iowa State the rest of the season?
Oh, wow.
I like Iowa State. And it's not big of a difference, but I like Iowa State. Kansas State is – I still need to see them They beat Kansas at the crib, but I need to see a little more from them. Everybody loves them right now, but Iowa State, I think, is playing a better brand of basketball, in my opinion.
I'm with you. I'm taking the Cyclones as well. I think if their name was Kansas or Texas, they would be getting maybe even higher in the polls.
A lot more love.
Yeah. Caleb Grill and Gabe Kalsher. Another example, Iowa State defends you so well that when a team is that good defensively, if you just find one or two perimeter shooters, you're going to be set up for some success. And they brought in the St. Bonaventure transfer, Osuni. He's been terrific for them. I really like them. I think TJ Otzelberger has done a crazy good job there.
Great job.
I don't even know.
You're gonna be around? Yeah. All right. Tell her to find me. We're gonna do this interview with him. Tell her to find me. We gotta run out pretty quickly.
Yeah, we're figuring it out, man. We're figuring it out. We're making it work.
Oh, this is fantastic. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear us? Test. Yeah, Field of 68 live. After dark, it's the afters. We find a way to make it work. My name is Rob Dawson. I have with me Jeff Goodman and the star of the night, Kobe Brown, Missouri Tigers. You guys won. I don't even remember what the score was, 79-76. Thrilling game. Yeah. It was loud. Kobe, how you feeling?
I'm feeling real good, man. That win, we definitely needed that win as a team, taking those last couple losses. So this is a good win to get us back on track.
Earlier this season, the big wins against Illinois and Kentucky, you went nuts, absolutely nuts, and kind of got this team, to me, on the national map, on the national stage. What's it been like for you, though? You've been here 4 years. You've waited for this moment. What's it been like?
Man, it's been really good. Coach Gates is a great guy. He brought us some great guys, some great teammates. Everybody wants everyone else to do better than the other. So it's really just the perfect situation. I'm happy to be here.
So you guys lost 3 out of 4 coming into this game. How important was it to get this win against a team against Arkansas that they always find a way to get it together at the end of the season?
Man, it was really important. It just shows that we didn't let those wins or those losses affect us too much. We kept our spirits up, our confidence up, and we were able to get the win. So.
Yeah, you were down 10. Anything said at that point among you guys? I mean, you've won enough close games now that you knew you'd come back, and the student section was awesome.
Oh, definitely. We got down 10. We saw each other, like Coach says all the time, we don't blink. You don't blink. You don't let conflict or whatever, affect you the most or affect you at all. So, just got to keep fighting. The game never over until the 0 on the clock. So.
Talk about your guy, DeAndre Golston. He had that big 3 in the corner. Right. He had the shot to tie it at 71. Yeah. I think it was him or Hodge that had the block down here.
Oh, it was Des Moines.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, you're deep, you're balanced. It's not just you making plays out there.
Yeah, definitely. We have a lot of great pieces on this team. Jerry's a prolific one-on-one scorer. He makes big shots like the one at UCF, the buzzer beater. So, it's not just him. It's everyone on this team. Everyone can make that last shot. So.
I don't think people realize how good this environment is when Missouri is winning. Yeah. Right? It was rocking here.
Yeah, definitely. We're definitely blessed to have so much support in the sport that we have from these fans. So I'm glad we could get a win against our rival Arkansas in front of them on the home court. So that means a lot to us. So
I got to ask you, the song everybody sings is Mr. Brightside. Do you know the words?
I do. I do know the words. I can't sing, but I know the words for sure.
What would it take to get you to sing Mr. Brightside on After Dark?
We went.
You guys are cutting down the net.
I was just going to say.
Finds you.
Right, definitely.
Yeah, after cutting down the net. Is that what it is?
That's perfect.
Yeah. So I walked in tonight and I see these guys, the Antlers.
Right.
They're nuts. Like, I don't know if I've ever. I mean, they're all dressed in dresses and all that stuff. Yeah. Is that every game?
They're crazy every game. That was my first.
Sign my jacket. Is that
there
right?
It is. CY, my former co-host. That's right. Big win. Big win there. No, but this environment, again, you've been waiting 4 years to probably see this type of consistent home court advantage. How much does this
mean to you in terms of being able to pull out wins at home? How much of an advantage is it?
It's a huge advantage. Definitely like the past 3 games we lost, we're on the road. Those crowds were crazy, and that they definitely played a part in the reasons why we lost. So just being able to be in a crowd like that and go against the other team is perfect.
Go better.
Yeah, we can feed off their energy whenever we get there. Hey, DeAndre, come here, man. You're live right now. Field of 68 after dark. 2 big shots down the stretch. What happened? What'd you see?
Just felt good. So my guy right here needed some help, so I had to help him. That's all. Now, seriously, though, man, my teammates believe in me. I just felt good on the shots that we needed them. So I just took them with confidence and made them.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, I feel like do it as a team. Obviously he had the 2 big games, biggest games of the year probably, but everybody kind of contributes on this team. Even Mosley tonight got in there. He's not afraid of Jackson shots either, is he?
It's his job. It's his job.
We need him.
Yeah, it's
Right,
job.
no doubt. He can get there anytime he wants, can he?
Just get back. He has to get back to the rhythm. That's all. He's
Little
been out
rusty.
for a while, so that's all.
But for you, I mean, again, how much is this just about toughness, grit tonight, beating an Arkansas team that, again, it's not pretty right now, is it?
No, SEC is tough. Everyone knows that. So these conference games from now on will be like this most likely, and we have to be the tougher team, the most connected team, and we'll come out with victories most of the time.
Where do you guys go around here to celebrate? What do you do?
The crib, stay together.
That's it?
That's all.
Nothing big around here?
Nah.
Where's the place, though, in Columbia? When you do go out, where's this spot?
I don't know.
You see how professional he got right here?
I can't even say. I can't even say.
Applebee's probably.
That's it. Applebee's. Come on.
Yeah.
Hey, that's perfect. Chris.
Oh, here we go.
Hey, Chris, that's perfect. Chris Mack's on our show. Chris Mack would pay him an Applebee's gift card, so he can take you out.
That's right.
That'll be lovely. That'll be lovely.
Love Applebee's.
Hey, last thing I got. He already promised us when he's cutting down one of these nets, he's going to sing Mr. Brightside on the show. Are you in too?
Can you sing
I have
it now?
to learn the words.
You can't sing it
I
now.
can't sing it
Nothing.
now. I can't sing that. He
What
might
can
be on
you
his
sing
own.
now? What can you sing now?
Y'all don't know my music. My music's a little different. all rap music. All rap music.
Well, listen, DeAndre Golston, Kobe Brown, for Jeff Goodman, Rob Doss. We're going to send it back to you guys. I don't know, in the studio, in the Zoom, whatever you want to call it. Trevor, cut us off.
Thank you, man. Seriously. Thanks, man. That was great.
Thanks, man.
Freaking guy Goodman, man.
Hey,
Are we still on right now?
Wait,
Are we still
can
on
they
right
hear
now?
us?
Just
Look
zoom
at
right.
don't give up.
Look at the angle
I
we're
can-
getting right
I can hear
now.
you. Coach, what's up, man? Congratulations.
Right away. 5 minutes. Yeah, we're good.
This guy Goodman, man.
So this takes us to our next segue. Things up. All right.
Wow.
Today, a Twitter account named @BigGameBoomer at 5:21 released.
Seen that Twitter, yeah.
Have you seen this?
I've seen the Twitter come across my page a few times.
Okay. All right. Well, @BigGameBoomer tweeted out the top 100 media personalities in college basketball. Number 1 on the list in the top 100 media personalities. Number 1 is one Jeff Goodman.
This is Goodman's ghost account. You know what I mean? This is.
But it's burner. This is burner.
Yeah, it's his burner. It's his aunt. It's something.
We need an IP. Until we get the IP address, we can't even talk.
I like
We
it.
figure out who's doing.
Henson's getting the IP address. I like it.
We need the IP on that, man.
So number 1 was Jeff Goodman. Okay. All right.
So now you know the list is completely fraudulent as we move forward.
Oh, and we're just getting started on the list because this thing took a bit of a roller coaster ride. First off, there was Chris Mack did not make it on the list. And
I'm not a media personality. No offense.
John Henson didn't either. I mean, I don't know what a snub.
He's still a ball.
I like me over Dave Portnoy. I really do. Can I wear like a 101? You know how Klay Thompson got left off the top 75? Should I wear like a 101 shirt? Like I'm number 101. I think I'm gonna do that next time.
Yes. Henson's name, producer Trevor, for a lower third. We got to get like John Henson, number 101 on
Yes.
college basketball media personalities.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
So elsewhere on this list, all right, Dick Vitale's 2, Jay Billis 3, Clark Kellogg, or Jim Nance is 4, Clark Kellogg's 5. All right, I'm very humbled to be ahead of Ken Pomeroy, Grant Hill, and Jay Wright. This is the only time ever in my life I'll be ranked ahead of Jay Wright.
Fanta, do we need to check the IP? Where are you located? Make the top 10?
Yeah. The only thing that I'm greater at besides this ranking than Jay Wright on is our suit size. That's about it. And that's a wide margin. That's a wide margin. Danny Cannell took 100. Trevor, does he cover college basketball?
He's got a serious show, so I guess that maybe counts because he does some all-encompassing stuff, but I would lean towards no on that one.
Rob Downster comes in at 70.
Wait, you got to give a little breakdown there. Portnoy is 69,
Yeah.
Rob is 70, and Coach K is 71.
Is Portnoy at 69? Is that supposed to be like a little Easter egg joke or what? I don't know. I don't get it. Who knows?
I mean, the fact that Rob is with those guys. Again, Trevor, give us that breakdown again of who's around Rob.
Portnoy is one ahead of him. Coach K one behind him. So that little trio goes Portnoy, Rob, Krzyzewski.
Where is Coach K?
He has a show on Sirius, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Yes, he does.
He's had a show for years, even when he was coaching.
Yeah.
Did you ever go on?
Okay.
No.
Oh, and Matt Norlander is 2 behind Rob, by the way.
Right. So there's the list. I just find it so humorous that Jeff has won. And perhaps my favorite thing about the list is that after it came out, Goodman texts all of us and says, this list is bullshit. This list is horrible. Jeff has to be the only person on the planet that would be ranked number 1 on a list, and he would go and call it out for being fraudulent.
Give him credit. I don't know when he would have ever been number 1 during his career.
Also, how about the... Yeah, go ahead.
So that's be my goal to find out who this guy is.
Here's the thing. He put himself 98th. He has made his own list, but he has humbly placed himself in the lower region.
Wait a minute. He made his own list?
Big Game Boomer, 98th on the list.
Oh, yeah. He put himself on the list.
Yes.
Yeah, makes no sense. So there's the list of college basketball media personalities. That's topped by Jeff Goodman in fascinating fashion. You have to love it. And let's get to it here. Let's wrap up the show. Your 3 toasts. Who are you toasting and why? Go ahead, Chris Mack.
I'm going to toast Coach Gates, Missouri Tigers.
Yeah.
These guys are getting it done. Just watching that game down the stretch, to see that arena filled black and gold, that's a hell of a first-year turnaround. And then right along with Coach Gates, I put Kobe Brown in that conversation because how many times, when there's a coaching change, there's one of the better players say, you know what, I've been here long enough. I'm going to try to go see, what else is out there, go to a new environment. And, I hope for Kobe's sake that team ends up, making the NCAA tournament, having a great year. He's certainly doing his part. So I'm going to toast those guys. Here's to the Missouri Tigers.
Good toast. Henson.
I am going to toast Fred Hoiberg. Hey, they try to run him up out of there. He restructured his deal. They equaled their win total. They're 1 game over 500. They're also 1 game below their final win total from last year from the Big 12. So toast to him finally being able to kind of get over that hump. And now we probably talked about Nebraska more in these last 2 months. We talked about it 5-10 years, right? So shout out to Coach Hoiberg, man. I'm rooting for him, man. He's a good dude, man. So hopefully he gets things, turn around over there. Cheers.
Cheers. I'm toasting Casey and Defo. The toughest MFer in college basketball. That kid is all kinds of toughness. Rarely do you see a guy. He has 1 made 3 on the season. Like, he is not a guy who has some sort of terrific jump shot. That's not who he is. And tonight, he impacted the game. Even when UConn was dominating the game, he was still playing hard. And he then kept his team sort of motoring around, and then helped them get on the run. Casey and Defo got St. Peter's to an Elite Eight. And tonight we learned why he did that again, because he willed Seton Hall back into the game. Cheers to you, Casey and Defo, New Jersey legend. That's all we need to say. Who you got this? Let's see. Bengals, Bills. How you feel?
It's right in my wheelhouse, man. That's what I done.
Feel great, Fanta.
I have never seen a game turn like Sunday night when Hubbard got the ball.
Unbelievable.
What'd you do? What'd you do?
Well, I was in my hotel room. My daughters had a volleyball tournament in Fort Lauderdale, and so just was in shock, man. It's 3rd and goal. They're at the 2-yard line, and it's crazy. Chris Collinsworth said it best, man. If you're going to run a play like that where you're going to reach the ball over, then they need to spread it out. And it was like they did 2 different things. They tried to push him from behind. Well, the last thing you want to do is go high when you're the ball carrier. I guess you want to go low. You learn something every day, because I'm not very astute when it comes to football, but the way that popped right into Hubbard's hands, unbelievable.
On my call it a day job, I'm on a show that talks about these things. You can't jump over the line and stretch the ball out if you're under 6 feet. That's not a short guy play.
And so, they're 2 yards away. It's not like they were at the 6-inch yard line.
Yes. I mean, he just had been watching too much TV, maybe too much Michael Vick, maybe too much Adrian Peterson, but you can't be 6 feet tall, jump 2 yards over the line.
You're right.
Hey, that's what happens.
Man, that was crazy.
Nervous before they replayed it that, maybe it already broken the plane. That happened to him earlier this year when they played Mahomes, when they played Kansas City, and he fumbled on 4th down, but he got the ball over the goal line. But then they do the replay, and he wasn't even close. He was a couple feet away.
Close.
Crazy. We'll see what happens in Buffalo now. Tall task.
I'm glad the Bengals won, though. The Ravens would have got swept right up out of there.
You know what? John Harbaugh.
Great defense, man. They got a great defense. They can't really move the ball.
John Harbaugh is so good at his job.
Yeah.
I mean, he is. I'm a Browns fan. Let me tell you something. It doesn't matter who we got on our team. We've been losing the coaching battle for 20 years.
Yeah, he's good.
Harbaugh's good. Mike Tomlin's a machine. Zach Taylor knows how. Zach Taylor got a lot of crap like early in his tenure. Fact is, he's won.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, that does it for us. We're not a football show, but I had to get some thoughts on the Bengals from Mack. For Trevor Valise, Trevor, I hope you can get some sleep. And John Henson and Chris Mack, I'm John Fanta. We will talk to you in about 22 hours and 40 minutes on the next version of After Dark. So long, everybody. And here's to hoping that Jeff Goodman doesn't get arrested in Missouri.
He was trying to find the best spot to go to. That's what they didn't know. He wasn't trying to ask for TV for the show.